everybody? This is Odd Job Entertainment bringing you another video. Believe it or not, I actually tried to record my whole playthrough of the campaign, only to find that I had messed up my OBS settings and it resulted in a stuttery mess. So instead, I'll just do a review. My first Halo game was Halo 3 ODST. It came bundled with the Xbox 360 that I bought. Then I played Halo 3, Reach, 4, 1, 2, and 5 just to say that I had completed all of them. The campaign of Infinite felt a lot like starting in ODST or 3 and then going back to Halo CE. That is to say, if you had started, or if Halo CE wasn't the first Halo you had played, it feels kind of incomplete. Hear me out on this. Think of all the classic Covenant weapons that are in 3 that are not in Halo CE. The carbine, for instance, one of my personal favorite weapons in Halo, isn't in CE or Infinite. We've seen trailers for Infinite that show the SMG and the classic shotty, but they're not here in the full release as of making this review. And while Halo Infinite is a lot of fun, those weapons' absence is felt. And I know the DMR is a mixed bag for a lot of people. I'm personally a fan, and I'm a little sad that it's not here. But I don't think this is all a bad thing. Having played through the campaign, there are a lot of unanswered questions. These, of course, serve to lay the foundation for what is to come. And before I go too much further, take this moment as your spoiler warning. After this point, there's going to be a lot of spoilers. The entirety of the Infinite campaign takes place on the broken section of the ring, which means that there is an entire ring left to explore. I can easily foresee us taking steps into those sections in future expansions, and I know a lot of people are a bit peeved that the campaign doesn't explore the wealth of biomes that are in previous titles. Halo 3, for instance, had wintry maps as well as levels in the northwestern American landscape that we're in now, but also the desert biomes. So there is a lot that we've seen in previous titles that isn't present in this campaign of Halo Infinite. But that could easily be coming in future content drops. And I think the weapons I pointed out as missing might make a comeback in the same way as additions from future story content. And what will those stories tackle? Well, we were introduced to the Endless, but there is still so much we do not know about them. Who are they? Where did they come from? What crimes did they commit to receive their fate at the hands of the Forerunners? There's the silent auditorium over there, where you fight the Endless. The Flood is briefly mentioned in a cutscene with Cortana talking to a monitor, just to say that they're on this ring somewhere. So, in the future, are we going to stave off an outbreak of the Flood? Because that would be great. We also know from the post-credit scene that Atriox survived and is awakening more bad guys frozen in carbonite. And I know that that's not the right word, but look at that word. It's so weird, I can't figure out how to pronounce it, so I'm sticking with carbonite. What is he waking up? Are they more endless? Is it something else? But if he survived, the bigger question is, did Cortana 1.0 survive? Cortana 1.0 being the Cortana that we interacted with in 1 through 5, Cortana 2.0 being the weapon when it's presumed that she takes on Cortana's moniker at the end of the campaign. All the information we have so far about the UNSC Infinity is what comes from the first cutscene and the audio logs. Where is Captain Lasky, Catherine Halsey, and the rest of the Infinity and her crew? Surely there are also surviving Spartans out there as well. Will we get to meet them? Speaking of Spartans, where is Blue Team? What was their mission, and when will we see them again? As you upgrade the Master Chief, you get all of the equipment except the repulsor. Just to cycle through them, you got grapple, got your threat sensor, drop wall, thruster pack, but no repulsor. So, when do we get to add that to our tool belt, and what additions does the future hold beyond what we already have? Is there going to be more equipment than just these 5? Given how the upgrade process works, it would seem that there's probably going to have to be some other way to keep progressing, because it's pretty easy to get all of this stuff done in just a short playthrough of the campaign. So what else is there going to be? And the Arbiter? As far as I recall, there is no mention of one of the most influential characters in the Halo universe, so when do we see him again? All of these questions are things that I believe will be explored in future expansions, and they all serve to reinforce my point that isn't as negative as it first sounds. Halo Infinite is not complete. There is still a lot to come. But to review the content we do have, what do I think about the campaign? Well, I really like it. There are a few criticisms I have, but I'll touch on those in a minute. The emotional scores in the campaign felt like they went straight on from the original trilogy. I feel the campaign did a lot right in rectifying the complaints people had about 5 without totally retconning it, and managed to salvage those same pieces into a satisfying story that I look forward to playing again and again. Cortana is shown as learning the weight of her choices and regretting her brazenness and tyranny in a way that redeems her in the eyes of players. The way this was achieved felt natural and well-paced. John's character development was also a thrill. We have the Master Chief, who feels a tremendous weight on his shoulders because he failed to stop Cortana. He feels responsible for all the UNSC deaths since that moment. While he still has the unending resolve to push through, there is a hesitancy that we have not seen before in his reluctance to trust Cortana 2.0. You can tell he fears she will end up doing the same things. Banished are also very interesting. And we're surrounded by Banished carriers in the sky. They bring a depth with them that was completely absent in 4 and 5. They are interesting villains. It's not just an alien shooter. There is a backstory to the bad guys and their motivations. The mystery that unfolds during the campaign and the way you discover the truth of everything is also very well done. Previous titles have had a very simple motivation to them. The Covenant are bad guys, and whatever they're doing must be stopped. But here, the mystery and wonder of Halo CE is brought back to the table. Now the motivation is the Banished are bad guys, and whatever they're doing must be stopped. And what happened to the ring? And all the while it goes on planting seeds for the future and what stories it will hold. As for my criticisms, well, there are 34 Spartan lockers hidden across the map, and not one of them holds any armor pieces. They are all skins. And even worse, if you pick up a locker with a War Master's prize skin for the Mark 7, you still have to find it for everything else it can be applied to. So a lot of the campaign rewards are repeats. This flies in the face of the promises made to us in the past in the same way the over-monetized shop and Battle Pass do. We were promised millions of combinations day one, and it hasn't happened. Whoever is making these decisions seems to be grossly underestimating the frustration it would cause. And I barely want to talk about the next one because I feel like it's going to be like this is the one people are going to flame me for, but hear me out. Cortana in Halo 4 was very much hypersexualized, but Cortana 1.0 and 2.0 in Infinite feel like an overcorrection. They look very juvenile, not like they are equivalent in age to John. It's a super minor thing, but as an artist myself, it just seems like a strange choice. If we look at another franchise, Tomb Raider, Lara Croft, for example, has made a transition from her inception as a grossly misproportioned sex symbol to a much more realistic female in more recent titles, but still retains a maturity that the teenage Cortanas of Infinite are lacking. I wouldn't bother mentioning this at all if they weren't both such pivotal characters, but whatever, moving on. There are a lot of features currently missing from the campaign. Co-op, the ability to replay missions without having to restart completely. A big part of the replayability of Halo is these two features together. Without them, a huge chunk of what makes the campaign so great is missing. The other things I want to complain at, there are other things I want to complain about, but they would be venturing away from the focus of this video, that being the campaign. To mention them briefly, Firefight, Forge, custom games that work, playlists, and getting skill-based matchmaking out of the social playlist, and many others. In spite of the delay, it seems we received less of a complete game than we did when 4, Reach, 3, 2, and 1 when they first came out. I'm irritated that developers release incomplete titles at full price and depend on future content updates to fill in the holes. And it's obviously not only Halo that does this. I'm looking at you, Battlefield 2042. But to stay focused on the campaign and end on a positive note, I would give the campaign an 8 out of 10. It is such a step up from 5 that it is almost impossible to believe that they are from the same franchise. This campaign feels like Halo. It left me excited for what the future will hold, and as mentioned before, there is a lot that is yet to come. I think 343 have done a very good job of setting themselves up for the future and not leaving themselves pigeonholed into going down a very linear story. There's so many ways that they can branch out in future story expansions that the universe is just going to keep expanding and expanding for Halo fans, and that is a very exciting prospect. So, this has been my thoughts and my review of the Halo Infinite campaign from atop the highest point on the map. But you guys know how this goes. Like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things, and let me know what you think. Have you enjoyed the campaign? Did you play it through? Did you play it through on Legendary? Did you try to record a playthrough of it and then also screwed up your OBS settings and so you had to do a review like me? Let me know what you think. And until next time, this is Odd Job Entertainment, signing off. I also just briefly want to mention that I also duplicate my channel on Rumble, so please support me there as well. And if you're watching this on Rumble, thanks for coming by. Rumble seems to be the fastest way for me to make money and will help me create better content in the future, so I appreciate your patronage.